All right. I want us to continue our discussion from Tuesday's class. We were talking about pronunciation, and we talked specifically about thought groups. Okay. Remind me what a thought group is. Yeah.
A group of 2 to 5 words, and it gives idea of something.
Okay. And how do you pronounce it?
One first group, one times.
I'm not sure that I follow you.
Yeah, for one third group, we have one first.
Okay, right. Right. So a thought group is, you're right, typically 2 to 5 words, okay, that express a complete idea, okay, and it's said with a pause between different thought groups, okay. So pronounced with pauses, okay, between the thought groups. Okay. And in class on Tuesday, we looked at a famous poem, Harlem, right, about the sort of I have a dream, okay, talked about the African American plight in the 1950s. I want to build on that and to look at a more difficult, a longer text, and still continue the discussion of thought groups, okay? So what I'd like to do is I'd like for you to work with someone who does not speak the same first language as you. That should be pretty easy for you, right? You can work with anybody, but you and Zhao cannot work together, all right? So go find someone new. It'll be easy for you too, Ashit. All right, so go find someone who does not speak the same first language as you, take your pencil, and sit next to them, okay? Yeah, you're gonna have to get up. Get up, walk around. Okay. I'm not going to give these to you guys. You guys gotta make friends.
Okay.
Across the table. Across the table, make some friends.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys are going to work together? Okay. Miriam, how about giving your piece of paper to Ashit there? Okay. Thank you. All right. How about Shao? How about you and Sarah? Can you guys work together? Okay. Why don't you go sit next to her if you would? Oh, okay. Well, this will work, won't it? It always work. Here we go. Oh, you got it there? Okay. All right. So I've taken an excerpt from a very famous speech. I have a dream. Have you heard of the speech?
Yes.
Yeah? What do you know about it?
I heard this speech on my undergrad.
Okay. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I remember good things. It is about the right of Black America.
Okay. So,
Yeah, and it was given by Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And he was executed by some accident.
Okay. Okay. It was given by Martin Luther King in 1963. Okay. I told you that February is African American History Month. So Martin Luther King was a famous African American who fought for civil rights. And this is probably his most famous speech. Okay. So I've taken an excerpt, a part of the speech for you. And with your partner, the person sitting next to you, Alexa, you and I can be partners, huh? Okay. With the person sitting next to you, I want you to look at this part of the speech and see if you can predict where do you think you're going to have thought group divisions, okay? Keeping in mind that thought groups are usually 2 to 5 words, and we also talked in class on Tuesday about different ways to divide thought groups. Punctuation, right? Prepositional phrases, relative clauses, etc. This is all on the bottom of page 62. So we talked about different ways to predict the division. So with your partner, see if you can read this and use a slash to indicate where you think thought groups will be divided. Okay? All right.
Yes.
No.
not sure. It should be one sure. So I would sure it should be
Most I agree with you. So it's a long process. I think we know this. So we got this. Oh, okay. So you know that it exists, but you've not heard of it before.
And I know about it. And I know that speech is very famous, and a lot of people might sometimes think of speech when they talk about the rights of different groups. State. The state.
In Ohio, in August, the weather is very vulture. So it's really hot, like uncomfortably hot. So here, even the state of Mississippi is in the south, so it's going to get hot inside of it. And then sweltering, which really injustice. So we're talking about both weather. Exactly. Okay, good. Okay, all right, one other issue. Go ahead and check out the others, okay? Because we're going to practice the pronunciation. Okay. Do it over here. Sorry? Oh, okay. You're doing okay here? Okay, how confident are you in your answers?
If it's place, in the place of.
Claire's like, not confident? All right. I'm going to play the original speech, okay, as it was delivered in 1963, and I'll give you a chance to compare what he did when he actually spoke with what you predicted in the thought groups to see how accurate you are, okay? And remember that you may choose to have longer thought groups. It's not that if your answer is different, it's not that it's wrong, because we may have variations in thought groups, but let's see what he did, because he is recognized as being a great speech maker. Okay. So I'm going to go to YouTube. Here's some of the original here. Okay, so look at what you have, compare it, and if you see any differences, then you can mark them.
I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American.
Alexei, can you hear that?
I have a
I can
dream.
see if there's any other option here.
One day, this nation will rise up.
Yeah, I can adjust here as well, right? Here. As high as it will go. Oh, right here? No. The desktop? Right here. Yeah. Let's make that a little bit louder. Okay, I may blow you out now. We'll start back again here.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
How'd you do?
It is a horrible dream.
Why do you say that? You didn't do very well predicting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need to listen to it again, or are you comfortable? You want to listen one more time? Okay. All right, we'll listen one more time, check your answers, and then you're going to have a chance to practice pronouncing it, okay? So we'll step back, rewind it one more time.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Okay. So how did you do? Were your thought groups usually too short or too long compared to his? Too long? Too short? You had both? What is? I heard you guys say too long. Yours were shorter or longer?
Mine was long.
Yours were longer.
Shorter, but
His were a little bit longer? Okay, all right. I want you to practice reading that speech with your partner, dividing the thought groups, okay, as you have them marked according to his presentation. Okay. So, like, let's say, John will read the first 2 lines, and then Miriam will read the next 2, and then John, and then Miriam. So you alternate, okay? All right.
So you can
Actually, why don't you do the whole thing?
and so even up to there. It's even it's not good, right? It's a dream. It's a dream control.
With things like difficulties of the day of the day, I still have a dream. It's such a
Which feels like this of the day. I still feel like dream.
It's a dream here.
It's a dream. Keep it as a dream.
It's a dream in the American place.
One day, nation will rise up.
It's a dream in the road place. In the American church. I have a dream. One day, the nation will rise up and live I have a dream. One day, the nation will rise up and live out the mission of its creed.
Okay. I have a dream. One day, on the red hills of Georgia, we'll be able to see the sun
We call this
and the sounds of women's illness. We'll be able to sit down and everything of friends across the dream.
I have a dream.
Great.
I have a dream.
One day,
One day we will be a nation
the sons
where
of
they will
former
not be
slaves
judged
and the sons
by
of
the
former
color of
slave
their
owners
skin, but by the
will
content
be
of
able to
their
sit
character.
down together at the table of brotherhood.
Your turn. No, there's still one sentence.
I have a dream that one day, even the states of Mississippi and states bordering the accomplish justice. So the refugee operation will be transformed into an analysis of freedom and justice.
My 4 little children, so one day the nation will have
That's okay.
But by the content of the
I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi and state of Georgia will be justice. So the refugee operation will be transformed into an analysis of freedom and justice.
Good job.
I have a dream that my 4 little children one day live a nation where they live. Will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character.
I have a dream.
integration process?
Near small places, use the home with the
Oh,
cars
yeah.
of the because
Okay.
I compare right now. I think it's more.
I have one too.
I heard that my colleagues will do one day so that they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their heart.
You have to learn
Discussion about That's what we're going to talk about. Okay, how did you do? Shall we have a dramatic reading? Yeah? Okay. Zhao, how about you read the first line and then we'll just kind of go around. Claire will read the second, and then Dee. And when we run out, we'll just start up again. Okay? All right, so try to pay attention to thought groups and speak loudly so everyone can hear you.
We have to like dramatic.
You don't have to like get really super excited like you do, because I know it would feel kind of weird. But try to pay attention to thought groups. That's what I do want to hear.
And so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in American dream.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold this truth to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
I have a dream that one day on the land hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood.
I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the state of injustice, sweltering with the heat of the oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and injustice.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Good job.
I have a dream today.
I think you should do the next part too. Let's start it again.
And so although we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It's a dream deeply rooted in the American dream.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold this truth to be self-evident, and all men are created equal.
I have a dream that one day on the red hill of Georgia, the son of former slave and the son of former slave owner will be able to sit down together at the table of the brotherhood.
I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice.
Why don't you finish this out? Can you finish this out?
Now,
Yeah.
next. Okay. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Okay, good deal. All right. So paying attention to those pauses, you can see he exaggerates them. But when you're actually giving a speech or presentation or teaching a class, those pauses you need to exaggerate. So it's easier for your students to catch where your ideas, what ideas are linked together. It's also a good opportunity for them to take a little bit more notes, right? It gives them a minute to write a little bit more down. So, okay. Alexei and I were talking there at the end, and he was asking about, I have a dream today. Okay, he's like, so I say that louder, right? So what I want us to segue to next in terms of thought groups is I want us to focus on stress within the thought groups. Because part of it is how you break down the sentences, but the other part is where do you put the stress? What do you say louder? What do you say longer? Okay, that also helps with the language there. So when we think about the stress and thought groups, we've already talked about this a little bit when we talked about syllable stress in words. Remember how we practiced that with nouns and verbs? Where do you, there are rules sort of that predict the stress. So sort of keeping with that idea, I want to build on that and say that in each thought group, okay, there is one primary stress in each thought group. Okay. Now keep in mind that stress does not equal word. It doesn't necessarily mean that you say one word louder, because many words have many syllables, right? So it could be what part of a word do you say louder. Okay. So when you think about your stress in your thought groups, there's a couple things to keep in mind. Okay. You want to focus primarily on what we call content words. You guys familiar with content words? You ever heard this? What do you know about them?
It is what?
Okay, you're right. Yeah, verbs are examples of content words. What else? Adjectives, yeah. And nouns, More? Adjectives and nouns, verbs and adverbs? Yeah, adverbs. Okay. So those are some examples. Other content words include WH question words like what, who, when. Absolutely. Also, anything that is negative. Okay, any kind of negative word. When I was listening to your pronunciation journals, and you should have all received my feedback on that. If you didn't, then go to the assignment and check, because I uploaded my comments and I did some highlighting and explained those. And I noticed lots of people had trouble with this negative, can't. Okay, it almost always sounded positive, like can. So this is also a content word. So when you're thinking about your thought groups, usually your stress goes on a content word, and it's usually the last content word in the thought group. Okay, makes sense? Last content word in the thought group. And then within that content word, which syllable should be stressed? Okay. So within that, determine the stressed syllable in the content word. And that's where you're going to get your stress. Does that make sense? Okay. In some cases, it'll just be a single word that'll have, it'll just be a word that is one syllable. And so you just know which word to stress. If it's a one syllable, which sound to stress, you just stress that word. But if it's a multiple syllable word, then you have to apply what we've discussed regarding syllable stress in words to determine what should you stress in that. Okay? So let's apply that then, right? Okay. Can I erase the board? You guys got this information? Okay. Or at least this information on the left-hand side. I'm going to put a quotation here about education. You guys are all teaching, or will be teaching. So I just Googled a quotation. The thing I loved, the most, and still love the most about teaching is that you you can connect with an individual or group and see that individual or group exceed their limits. Okay. It's a quotation by a very successful basketball coach. Okay, so if we look at this, let's start with dividing our thought groups. Where would you likely divide this? Somebody tell me someplace. What's it? Yeah. Where would I do it?
Maybe something like
Okay, so Alexei was remembering our discussion about punctuation, and he's going to propose that we divide it there. Okay, I agree. All right, John, where would you divide the next part?
And still love the most.
You would divide it here?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe after teaching.
Okay, and you want to divide it here? I probably would divide it here as well. I still love the most about teaching. So, and still love the most about teaching. That feels a little awkward, doesn't it? So the thing I love the most and still love the most about teaching. What would you do? Shao? Got any guesses? Next?
Individual.
Is it you can connect with an individual?
Yes.
Okay. Ashi, what would you do?
After each that.
You want to divide it here?
Yeah. Once.
Is that you can connect? You want to? I probably wouldn't divide it here. I would probably make it a little bit longer and do it with individual. Okay, yeah. Where about the next one? Thoughts? Mary? Yeah, right. Punctuation and group.
Individual.
And see that individual? See that individual or group exceed their limits? Okay, so the thing I love the most and still love the most about teaching is that you can connect with an individual or group. Okay, I don't know if I would have this one. I might say is that you can connect. I might do this. Is that you can connect with an individual or group. Is that you can connect with an individual or group and see that individual or group. They might keep those there. Exceed their limits, but you can have different options here. Okay. We'll go with what you guys told me here. Okay. So if we keep in mind that it's the last content word that determines this, and then you determine the stress syllable in that word, what would you stress? Okay. So the thing I love the most. Teaching. How many syllables does teaching have? 2. So then we have to decide which syllable in that multi-syllable word we're going to stress.
If I choose, I choose still.
Ah, okay. I want to come back to you, Xiao. That's a good point. All right. Now, which one would you, if you're going to stress teaching, what would you stress here? For the first or the second? First. We have
It's not.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
First.
2-syllable noun. Most of those get the stress on the first syllable. Now, Zhao's comment was she wants to stress still, and still love the most about teaching. Why would you choose to stress still?
Because the meaning that he emphasized on still, why still not teaching?
Okay, so that is something that we need to add here in terms of considerations, is that stress can vary according to what, if you're wanting to show maybe a contrast, okay, and that's what we see here. We do see this in the past, in the present. So if you're wanting to stress some meaning difference, okay, then you can put the stress on a different word. So that would certainly be an option. So I'm going to put a note here. Stress can shift or vary according to emphasis in terms of meaning. If you want to do that, okay. So is that you can connect with an individual. What would you stress here? Connect. Is that our last? No, individual. Okay. How many syllables does individual have? Yeah, I should have got the individual. Individual. Five. Okay. Individual. Okay, so where's the stress in that word? Individual. Individual? Individual. What we were? Individual? Individual? Individual. Or individual. Okay. Are you with me on that? Yeah? Miriam, not with me? No? Did you hear the 5 syllables?
Yeah.
Okay. So thinking about then where we're going to stress that word. Individual. Listen to how I say it. Individual.
Yeah, it's on A.
It's on N? Can you hear that? Higher, longer? Okay. So, or group. So that's pretty easy. What do we stress? Yep. Only one place. No other option. Okay. Well, I made my marks go the other way. I guess I should make them all go consistent. Okay. And see that individual, same there, or group, exceed their limits. What would you do? Limits? How many syllables? Yeah. And where would you put the stress?
One.
Yes. Limits. Okay. So the thing I love the most and still love the most about teaching is that you can connect with an individual or group and see that individual or group exceed their limits. Okay. But you can't change if you want to stress that. Absolutely. So with that in mind, what I would like to do is to segue to give you guys each a quotation. Okay. These are more quotations about education. Pick one. Take a minute. Okay. And decide, where do you think you, okay, good question, would divide the quotation about education, and then mark the stress, if you would. Okay. Divide thought groups and stress within the thought group. Okay. There are 5 different quotations about teaching or education here. Find the person who has the same one as you. Okay, they're all numbered 1 through 5. So find your classmate who has the same quotation as you. Who has 4? 3. 2.
Ah, great.
Okay. Claire, can I sit here? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, no. Shall, can I sit here? Okay. you divided the thought groups in the same place. See if you put the stress on the same syllable.
No,
Okay, where would you put the
I
pause?
didn't.
Yes.
Here, what don't you want?
I thought this was hilarious.
I am 2081.
Yes.
You understand?
The meaning is hilarious. Okay, can you? Professor is someone else's.
I think we should.
Okay, and what is stress? This is one.
Someone else's.
Sleep.
Mhm.
A professor is someone who talks in someone else's sleep.
Mhm. Okay, good. Try again.
A professor is someone
Okay, is someone, a little more stress.
someone.
Mhm.
A professor is someone who talks. A professor is someone who talks in someone else's sleep.
Yes.
Or it was
Yes,
somewhere.
Okay, are you guys okay? Did you practice pronunciation? Well, you should practice because I'm going to ask you to say it. Okay?
So what is stress? You know, after we smash it, and for instance, we have to divide them. A1 must be larger.
Do you think that's funny?
Maybe we should divide in convert and pronounce like we divide.
I thought it was funny. It made me laugh when I saw it.
Yeah,
And
because
the
I always
part that must be louder is
I always
the way
change
the
someone
place that
else.
has
My
the stress.
friends,
For
my
instance,
family,
here,
But when it's, what they're saying is that while you're in class, right,
Yeah.
you're sleeping,
must be a bit loud.
but the professor is talking.
I got it.
Okay, who has number one?
The condition.
We have that.
You have number one?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to say it together. Together. Because you have the same thought group division, and you're going to stress the same syllable stress. So you should be able to say it simultaneously at the same time. Okay?
You can see
Are you ready to try it? Okay, these are different quotations about education, so listen up. Most of them are serious, but one is funny. Okay. Are you guys ready to try it?
Yeah.
All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I never teach my pupils. I only attempt to provide the conditions in which they can learn.
I think we should hear that one again, don't you? Okay, let's hear it one more time.
I never teach my pupils. I only attempt to provide the conditions in which they can learn.
Okay, did you hear thought groups?
Yes.
Yeah, did you hear syllable stress and words within those thought groups? Some. Partially, okay. Miriam says yes. Okay. How about number 2? All right, guys.
In learning you will teach, and in teaching you will learn.
Zhang is like, that was easier. Okay, good job. Number 3.
Here.
Okay, guys.
We need metal.
A good
Teacher, like a good entertainer, first must hold his audience attention, then he can teach his lesson.
I think we should hear that one again.
No.
One more time. Okay.
3, 2, 1.
A good
Teacher, like a good entertainer, first must hold his audience attention, then he can teach his lesson.
That was better the second time, I think. All right, number 4. Are you ready? A professor is someone who talks in someone else's sleep. We weren't very good, were we? I think we definitely need to try again. How about you go by yourself? And I'll be a little quieter. Ready?
Okay.
Go.
A professor is someone who talks in someone else's sleep.
I think that's the first one. Nobody's going to laugh. Professor is someone who talks in someone else's sleep. Have you think about your students? Have you ever seen them sleeping in class?
No, they can't.
They can? Well, not in the lab. Huh? Could be dangerous. All right, let's hear the last one, please.
A good teacher must be able to put himself in the place of those who find learning hard.
Shao wants to hear that one again.
Yeah.
Shao wants to hear it again.
Twice.
Okay. Say it one more time.
A good teacher must be able to put himself in the place of those who find learning hard.
What do you think? John, do you agree with that?
Yeah, good, I think.
Good. The good pronunciation, or do you agree with the saying?
Yeah, but
Oh, I'm sorry?
yes, I agree on the pronunciation.
Oh, good pronunciation, and you agree with the saying?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
He is
All
a
right.
good friend.
He is a good friend, huh? All right, let's return to your seats. All right, I want to point out a homework assignment for you where you get to practice this, okay? Pronunciation journal, due Sunday night. Stress and thought groups. Okay. Remember in class on Tuesday we talked about the fact that you could use NPR as a good way to practice your pronunciation because it includes both the transcript as well as the audio. So what I've done here is I've gone back to our first listening assignment and I have the transcript for the first 2 paragraphs of that assignment. What I'd like for you to do is to do what we did in class today, where you mark the thought groups and the stress in each thought group according to what the reporter says, like you did this with Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech. Okay? And then I want you to record yourself mimicking or copying the reporter's pronunciation. Okay? Here's the link so that you can go back and listen to the audio. The second part of the pronunciation journal, page 65 in our textbook, exercise 11. Okay. What you're asked to do here is to choose a field-specific passage from the appendix. Okay. The back of the book, it has the vocabulary, chemistry, biology, physics. It also has different paragraphs in your field. Okay. Choose one of those paragraphs, mark it with thought groups, and put the phrasal stress in bold. Okay. And practice reading that paragraph several times until you're comfortable with it and can record it. Okay. If there's not a field-specific passage in the back of our book, I know there's nothing in communication, then you can choose a book that you would likely be teaching from. Okay. Or if you guys don't want to use the field-specific passage of the book, you can also use something from like the lab manual that you're teaching from. Okay? I'm cool with that, either one. I want this to be relevant for you. Okay? And then thirdly, word stress. We're going to keep practicing that. Choose 10 words from your field that are difficult for you to pronounce. Okay? With your pronunciation journals, I highlighted if there were any problems. You can choose some of those words that were problematic, or you can choose 10 new words. But they need to be from your field. Okay. And the first thing that I want you to do is to create a definition of those words. Okay? I'm not a chemist, I'm not a physicist, so your definition needs to be simple, okay, and concise. And frankly, right, I'm not going to know if it includes everything that needs to be, so don't make this too complicated. A one-sentence definition of the word, and you can see some, in our textbook it talks about how to create these definitions using relative clauses on page 66. Okay. So you've got the word, write a definition of it, and then mark it up again with thought groups and using bold to indicate what you're going to stress. So here is an example for you. If I were to do this assignment myself in second language, perhaps I would choose relative clause. And then this is the definition of a relative clause. I've marked in red where I would divide my thought groups, and I've used bold to indicate where I would stress my syllables and words. Does that make sense? Okay. So what should you do to complete this assignment? You need 2 things. First of all, you need the written response to activity 2 and 3. So you can type this up in Word and upload it. And then secondly, you need the audio response to all 3 of these activities. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's going to be due on Sunday. So this will give you a chance.
They will be the same. I mean, the written and the audio will be
Yes.
the same.
Yes, they will be the same. It's just I want you to
See
think
if
about what
I-
you're doing
yes.
and trying to match it. Yeah. Any other questions? The other thing that you should be working on is that classroom observation of another teacher in your field, and you're paying really close attention to questions in the classroom. How does the teacher elicit questions? What do they do if they don't understand? What if the students give wrong answers, etc.? Okay, so that's what you should also be working on as well. All right, any questions?
Can we take class observation with same teacher?
Sure, absolutely. His question was, can he observe the same teacher as he did for the first assignment with the second assignment? Sure, no problem, because you're looking for something different. Okay. All right, I'm going to turn the table over to Zhao, who's going to give us a really short roundtable discussion.
I'm not sure this one.
Okay, we'll see how that goes. Do you need anything up here, Zhao?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll turn that over to you.